Hey, do you guys know if Chinese consumer fireworks are somehow more dangerous than like standard conventional consumer fireworks? Because I feel like they are. Kobe. I bet they are significantly riskier, but they're also proportionally cheaper, so I'm okay with this. That wasn't funny at all. Welcome back to Battlefield 1, the game that totally requires extremely good aim to play. And by extremely good aim, I mean... This new front page is pretty neato, if you ask me. You know, like the whole helpful video tutorials that I totally need to see that are totally not like cookie cutter formatted? These are my favorite, yeah. Tips for new Battlefield 1 players, what class should I play, tips on customizing your loadout. EA actually asked me to do one of these for how to use vehicles correctly, so I countered with, is the mortar a vehicle? They were like, no, so I was like, no. I mean, I guess I'm gonna be teaching you that anyways, because this video was supposed to be how to pigeon, which is really less how to pigeon and more how to mortar, but it's something that you guys desperately want. Like, really want, according to my in-game chat. I'm almost 100% certain that about a day or two after I make this video for how to pigeon or how to mortar or whatever I'm gonna call it, Jack Frags is probably gonna upload a video that's about 10 times clearer and more helpful, but whatever, let's get into this. Okay, so the game of pigeon is actually super simple. There's one pigeon in the middle of the map, both teams try to grab it, scribble down a message, and then release it into the air. That's the point. And once you do release it into the air, you get artillery that shells the other team, and it's nothing short of terrifying. You get 3 points, you win. Pretty basic. The first thing you should know is once you actually grab the pigeon, it does take some time to scribble down that message. I guess they're technically coordinates for the artillery, but it doesn't really matter. Just fill up the circle. And that circle fills up a lot faster if you don't move. If you're completely stationary, like don't move. So just to put this to you very briefly as a public service announcement to anybody that grabs the pigeon, stop moving. Stop. Like, it's time to stop. Don't move. Stop moving. Something else important to note is you can actually steal somebody else's progress. So let's say a guy on the other team has a full ring, you shoot him in the face, which is super easy to do, by the way, because the icon follows him around the map. Gee, I wonder where he is. You can shoot him directly in the face, steal the pigeon, and release it immediately. Super simple. However, you should know the enemy team can still blast away the pigeon that you release for about 30 feet after you release it. So you can see in parts like this, I try to get a somewhat blocked area because everybody and their mother, as soon as you release the pigeon, is just standing there waiting and waiting and waiting and throwing gas at you. By the way, the pigeons are so bad with gas. They're so bad with gas. And a final thing you should know, you can't do it inside. So if you want to scribble down your message indoors in a bunker, that's totally fine, but you have to go outside to let it go.
Let it go, let it go.
And although the game mode is extremely fun, yet also extremely random, it's gonna go like this almost every single time if you play as a runner in the first 30 seconds. You're gonna run to the middle of the map, some other guy's gonna run to the middle of the map, because it's basically the same distance from your spawns, and you both run the same speed. He's gonna throw a grenade, you're gonna throw a grenade, you're both gonna die simultaneously, and it doesn't matter who picked up the pigeon because you're both dead.
I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams.
And immediately following that, you're gonna hear a whole lot of we picked up the pigeon, we dropped the pigeon, the enemy team picked up the pigeon, the enemy team dropped the pigeon, over and over and over again. It's almost like flag juggling.
Flag taken. Flag dropped. Flag taken. Flag dropped.
But that's also where the fun starts, because that's where the mortar kicks in. And even though I have no moral issue whatsoever of cheesing an entire round with a mortar, it definitely needs a nerf. I think it does. It's extremely annoying, it's extremely effective, and most of all, it comes up every 15 or 20 seconds. Like, you get rid of your 5 rounds, whether that's the HE or the air burst, and then immediately, oh, 15 seconds later, you have more of them. That's not even me being hyperbolic, it's just, okay, done. I'm gonna wait. And you're back in action. Look at that. I'm sure a lot of you out there are already really annoyed that the mortar even exists. Just so you know, you can stand in front of your friendlies and it doesn't end well for them. But when it comes to the mortar, you gotta start out by thinking if you want to do air burst or high explosive. Air burst is supposed to be better against infantry. It supposedly does less damage, but over a greater surface area or a greater radius, whereas HE does a ton of damage, but in a tight little area. don't really think you'll notice that much of a difference. I mean, I use HE just to crush people in buildings. That's really the only major difference that I notice. Don't get me wrong, if there's like a cluster of enemies that are all gaggled on top of each other around a pigeon, I definitely want air burst, but in general, they're not that different from one another. HE is a little bit shorter in terms of the range, but you're not gonna go wrong either way. I mean, think about it. You can put this thing directly in the middle of the map, you can reach virtually every corner, and there's a guy running around with a pigeon icon directly over his head. How hard can that be? Concealing yourself is also a good idea. So if you can find a bush, but don't just shove yourself into any bush you can find, because some of them don't work out very well. Now, there's a million different ways you can do this, but given all the other people that have been using mortars online, I'm pretty sure my way is the apex of cheese. That first shot you fire, once you set up, purely just a survey. You're just trying to find out where everybody is so you can really start dropping bombs. You can essentially start wherever you want. You can fire where you think their spawn is. You can fire at red skulls that are dead on the map. You can fire at high traffic areas. I'll even just fire at noises. Like if I'm hearing gun sounds in a certain direction, I'll just rip my first one that way just to see who's around. Inevitably, your first shot is almost always going to be garbage unless you're like Phase Pyrocynical. I have no idea if he's in Phase. Like, I just really like the way that he says Phase Clan. Phase Clan. But don't worry about hitting anybody on this first shot. Just find out where everybody is. Then once you have a general sense, a general layout of where you want to fire, you've got two important choices. If you think that you are making it rain exactly where you want it to and you're getting hit markers everywhere, start spamming, because then you don't have to come out of the camp. You can just see it launch and launch and launch and launch and launch. You don't have to waste your time coming back out of the camp, firing, and then going back in. It's not annoying at all. But if you're like me and your first shot is probably not even within 30 feet of any target that resembles an enemy or anything you would want to hit, you can readjust from that main point, and it's easy to do once you get the hang of it. Now, you can combine the two of readjusting and spamming at the same time, but that's extremely hard to do. And I think you'll try it a few times, you'll see how hard it is. I don't know why I'm getting so complicated with this. Like, you guys can probably do this for 15 minutes and you'll be better at it than I am. Once you really start getting into things, you'll see what I mean, like I said previously about HE versus airburst. Any map where people are lurking in attics or sitting in these little buildings, go with HE. You can crush them so easily, it's not even funny. Because 90% of the time, if you launch an HE at an attic that's full of guys that are protecting the pigeon carrier, you're not gonna kill who you intended to kill, but somebody's definitely gonna die. But on the maps that are a little bit more open, where everyone's running around like a kindergartner at recess, I would go with the airburst. Just because everybody turns into Usain Bolt and they're a lot more difficult to hit, you want the surface area. There will come a point where you start feeling dirty. You just start feeling so dirty, like you're actively bowing out of gunfights just so you can drop ones on his head. It's like, why would I ever want to shoot at this guy? Why would I shoot at this guy when I can, like, duck out for 5 seconds and just drop something on his dome piece? That was so much easier. Why am I not doing this more often? Now I'm puzzled at myself, because I think a lot of you are going to start using the mortar now and just asking me, like, why? Why did you need this tutorial? This is so self-explanatory. One other absolute cheese tactic is to get your pigeon in the hands of an elite. Now, I know the flamethrower elite is not as good as he was in the beta or the alpha. Like, he's no longer super tanky or such a hoss. Like, he's Ronnie Coleman with like a flamethrower on his back. But if it's any of the elites with the metal on their faces, you're kind of out of luck. He's so tanky. He's either got that super high rate of fire like Italian machine gun, or that gigantic one that feels like it fires fire trucks at you. He's not gonna go down, because it's 100% you have to hit him in the face or hit him with a shovel, or else he's gonna cut you in half like a chainsaw going through a phone book. So don't bother with his legs, don't bother with his torso, hit him in the face or he's gonna kill you immediately. And melee still definitely is an option if you have a shovel or a knife or a bayonet, but good luck closing that gap before he pops you in the noodle. And I have no idea why, but anytime they mention releasing the pigeon, I think of Clash of the Titans, where instead of releasing a pigeon, they
Release the Kraken!
And I'm just completely let down. I'm completely underwhelmed. And that's about it. I'm really interested to know if you guys actually play this game mode, because for me, there's like one populated server in the server browser. I enter that server, and then as soon as I start mortaring, it's infectious and everybody starts mortaring, and then it's no fun allowed. I've just ruined it for everyone. It would be terrible if I made a tutorial for a game mode that nobody likes or plays. Does this even qualify as a guide? I can't wait to see my comment section with receding hairline jokes and, oh, it's a doggy icon profile picture and he says, hey, he looks like Forrest Gump. What a new joke. Tune in next week when I open up $5,000 worth of battle packs from this new site that I found.